All right, I'm done. Okay, let's start with those that chose card number 1. It's in the reverse, number 14. I'll show what it looks like in the upright position. Initiation and the Count Saint Germain. Very cool. Okay. So, for those that chose this card here, I feel like people are viewing you in the month of April as a leader. Or somebody that has something to say. Maybe you have a message for others in the month of April. Maybe you are getting your word out there, getting yourself out there. Maybe you're marketing yourself. But people are kind of like stopping in their trucks and they're like, what's going on over here? You know, what's happening over here? They feel like a shift in your direction. You know, you're making people do a double take, I feel like, in the month of April. And I do feel like you're hoping people will listen, of course. I do feel like people don't really know what to make of this information or of you in the month of April. Perhaps, I want to say some of you may be ahead of your time, or maybe what you're posting or what you're saying is just so peculiar, it's so different, or it's just unusual. And they're not really sure what you're trying to get at. Maybe they're just not there yet, you know, they're not on your level yet. Or, again, there's just this language barrier, I feel like. For some of you, maybe it's because you speak a different language, or maybe something here is your second language. Like maybe you've immigrated, or, you know, to a place different, obviously, to your native land, and maybe they don't speak your native tongue. Maybe it is kind of frustrating at times. Maybe people don't really understand because of, you know, your accents, or the way you're enunciating your words. You know, there's some kind of language barrier, or they just don't know enough information about what you know, and they're just kind of like, what is that? You know, or the way you're presenting information is very different to what they're used to. Okay. Let's see what's going on here in the month of April. Alright. Okay, so we have the Temperance card in the reverse. We have the 5 of Pentacles. The 4 of Wands in the reverse. And we have the Justice card. Okay. So I do feel like you've been working on a project that's really important to you. And 5 of Pentacles, I feel like you're putting, you know, if this is a project, you've been putting your own, or you've been funneling your own money into this, hoping that this will grow. This will become something. But it means a lot to you. I do feel like you pour quite a bit of your energy and your love into what you've been working on here. And for some of you, you may work on this at night. Like maybe you only have free time at night or on weekends. But with the Four of Wands in reverse in the month of April, I do feel like, you know, you may not be getting the recognition you feel like you deserve. You know, again, people seem confused about your message. Maybe you feel like you've accomplished something. You know, you may be proud of your work. You may know, you know, what this is leading up to, but I just feel like people around you are not really seeing the connection in the month of April. But with the Justice card here, I do feel like regardless, okay, you're going to be seen as an authority on something. So I feel like, you know, especially for people that have their own platform, like you have your own channel and you're posting, you know, your own original content, you don't care what others have to say. You just want to kind of get your truth out. You know, maybe you feel as if no one's sharing this message and you feel like it's only right for people to know. Okay, interesting. All right, I'm going to pull another oracle card here. In the month of April, we have this card. It looks like a ship and the number 3. Okay, so I do want to say odd numbers are standing out to me. And the only even number that I'm really seeing as a single digit is in the reverse, and that's the Four of Wands in the reverse. You know, the Temperance card is in the reverse, so again, and also the Temperance card represents Sagittarius, which is the 9th house, which is an odd number. 5 of Pentacles, obviously that's an odd number. The number 3 with this Oracle card here, obviously that's an odd number. Our only even number, right, is the Four of Wands, and that is in the reverse position. And then we have Justice, which is Libra energy, represents the 7th house, and that's an odd number. So again, I just feel like something, for one, is odd about what you're doing, or people perceive it that way. You do realize what you're saying is very different to what people are used to. And 2, I do feel like you're being very action oriented. You're taking action in the month of April. Okay, you're determined to get this message out there. It's almost as if like you stop, you drop some truth bombs or you drop some content, and then you just move on to the next thing. That's what I'm seeing, you know. That's what I'm seeing here. I am going to read this card just because I am very fond of the booklet. Let me see. This says, if I can find the page. Okay, I take you on a vacation or a business trip. You will need a suitcase for where we are going. Distance is what I am known for, and I am constantly in motion. Look at the cards next to me for the clues and cues to the changes I bring in your life's journey. A journey is to be embarked upon. There are new horizons to be explored, and preparation is required to ensure smooth passage. In the original Game of Hope, where we have the first publication of the symbols of the Lenormand, this is indicated to be a favorable journey, as a traveler will be happily taken by the ship to the land of the birds. This augurs well. Let's see. Anything else here? The nature of the journey will usually be pleasant and well favored, such as a holiday, depending as ever upon the cards that surround it. Okay, I do feel like you don't plan to be here very long. Or again, if this is more of you being a content creator, you hope to evolve and only get better from here, you know? I feel like these are stepping stones for you. But thank you for those that chose this card here. If that resonated, I hope you choose to hit the like button and subscribe, or hit the follow button on my TikTok. Hi, Snowflake. Well, welcome in. I'm glad you're here. I'm just doing a pick a card reading for those that are in this energy of Gemini, and you don't have to have this in your charts. I know a lot of people like to think so, but that's not necessarily the case. Sometimes if you're here, you know, maybe for a reason. And so I'm not doing personals. I'm not doing free personals. But if you would like a personal, information is in my bio. Okay, as far as payment methods and prices, if you are interested tonight or for future reference. And let me know if you have donated or paid, or if, you know, that's something that you're thinking about, if you would like a reading. And after this pick a card reading, I will get into your reading if you do have a question. Okay? All right. So we're going to move on here to those that chose card number 2, or those that were drawn to it. And we have number 9 in the reverse. And this card says, the one and only Archangel Michael. Okay? In the reverse position. All right. So, I do feel a very protective energy, and I feel like you are embodying this protective energy in the month of April. Some of you here could be a parent, you know, and so maybe you're very protective over your child or over your children, especially if your child has been having issues with maybe some of the kids they're going to school with, like their peers, or maybe having issues with the teacher, and you're kind of going to go in there and, you know, speak on your child's behalf, say that, you know, what's been happening here is unfair, and then argue your case for some of you, okay? But if that doesn't resonate, it's just you being in a protective energy in the month of April, okay? I do feel like you think you're doing it for the right reasons, and you may be fuming about this. All right, let's pull some tarot. In the month of April. Also, you may be a single parent, or you're the parent that is more involved in your child's life. We have the Hierophant in the reverse. The Nine of Wands. This Nine of Wands is popular today. The Hanged Man. And the Star in the reverse. Okay. I'm hearing a little kid in the background, so it's kind of interesting. We're talking about. children or a child. Again, that could be an omen for those that have picked this card or picked this pile, of you dealing with kids or with a child. But yeah, with the Hierophant in the reverse, I do feel like you think that there's something wrong with the system. Again, maybe you think that there's something wrong with the atmosphere your child is in when they're in the classroom setting, or maybe you have something to say to a teacher, or you have something to say about their leadership, or you have something to say maybe about the education system itself, feeling as if the system is broken, feeling as if there's a lack of justice there. For others of you, something that I'm also getting is, if you are parents, maybe you've been frustrated with your child, maybe with your child's behavior. Maybe your child also hasn't, I don't know, maybe they're not fulfilling expectations, or, some of your children may be having like some kind of rebellious streak. Again, I just feel like with the Nine of Wands and the Hierophant here, there's been issues at school. Okay, maybe also your kid has gotten into a fight with another kid, that's also possible as well, and you're just very angry, and you're wanting to kind of like maybe discipline your child, maybe talk to the parents of the other child, Let's see what else here. With the Hanged Man, I don't know if this is your energy, maybe in part, especially if you're a single parent and you're doing all this alone, and you're not asking for help, maybe, in big part because you don't know who to ask, right? They say it takes, not a community, a village, right? It takes a village to raise a kid, or it takes a village to raise children. And you may feel a lack of that support, Again, something's wrong with the system. Maybe you feel like the system that you're living in, especially if you, live in a hyper-independent culture like the United States, you may feel like there's just a lack of support for people in your circumstance, and you're like, man, it just makes it so much harder. And you're doing your best. You're doing your best, and maybe some days you just don't know if that's enough. Maybe you're hoping and praying that your children will turn out fine, that they'll be successful, and that they won't get into any trouble, You may be taking on this blame, especially if your kid's not doing well in school, or getting into arguments or fights at school. You're like, what am I doing wrong as a parent that my child is acting like this? And you're like, well, I know I'm only taking care of this kid by myself, and I know that in itself causes some issues for the child, and they do need, the opposite parental figure. If you're the mother figure, this person needs a father figure. If you're the father figure, this person needs a mother figure, and you're like, well, looking at the statistics, what's the likelihood of my child being okay emotionally, financially, physically? And you're like, well, that, the odds aren't in my favor. Our odds are stacked up against me and my child. So that may be a concern for you in April. Okay. Also, this is random, but if you do have a smaller kid, maybe they like to be a free spirit, and that includes them kind of running around the house naked. Maybe this kid, doesn't like to wear clothes, or just doesn't like, is resisting being like, more quote unquote civilized, or, socially appropriate, I guess. And so that may be a frustration for you as well, but they're a kid, so obviously, and each kid has their own temperaments, and I'm sure you know that, but it's just a reminder that you're doing all you can, and at the end of the day, some of this is kind of out of your control. But I feel like I ranted on and on and on, but let's pull an oracle card here. See, I also feel like some of you here may be hoping for a better job, a better paying job, especially. Okay, we have the number 1. We have like this lady on a carousel. I used to love carousels growing up. The moment I became too old, quote unquote, apparently, to get on a carousel, my dad, I remember he told me that you can't go on it anymore, you're too old for it. And I remember I like bawled my eyes out because I loved going on them so much for some reason. I thought they were beautiful, and made me feel like I was, flying. But anyways, or like I was going somewhere. But yeah, like, with that said, you may be telling your child they can no longer do something, right? And kind of maybe stripping them of some of that freedom, some of that joy. And maybe some of it's necessary, right? Again, you're trying to look out for their well-being, and so safety first. The kids are going to make mistakes. This is the perfect time for them to make mistakes, because it's a lot easier to recover from them. Anyways, I would like to read this card here as well. Let's see what this card has to say. This says, I am always bringing news. Look around me to see what it includes. I might be coming to visit or bringing you some changes. I am fast and always on the move. If you see a negative card close by, you will probably not enjoy the reply. Let's see. The fastened messenger bag across her shoulder may be suggestive of additional messages for different destinations along her night's voyage. In her hands, she grasps a white envelope, a letter that is out of the bag and ready to be delivered for the current reading. The carousel is the ideal metaphor, as this card is a new cycle being initiated and an ending of an old state. The ups and downs of the carousel also symbolize the magical flight that powers this messenger to its destination. Freed from the forever revolving merry-go-round of life, whose circular motion is also defined by the laws of physics as acceleration. Our rider symbolically reflects the pace and speed of information by which our lives are increasingly affected. Okay. All right, take what you will from that. But that is the reading for those that chose this card. If this resonated, I hope you choose to like this video on the way out, and maybe even subscribe or follow me on TikTok. All right. Last but not least, we have this card over here, and this says Hilarion number 5. Okay. All right, so in the month of April, I feel like kind of in some ways like the first card, you're kind of being looked at like a teacher, like someone that's imparting knowledge and wisdom. But I feel like for you, it's more traditional. Maybe you have a more conservative or traditional outlook on something. These are typically my brick and mortar people. If this is at a university or at a college, maybe you are attending, a brick and mortar type of institution, or you just believe in these old-fashioned values. You're like, they come from somewhere, they should be respected. This is the time and place for them. You need a proper foundation, and so I feel like you're there to you're there to kind of help people understand, okay, how to have a proper foundation in something. So let's dive into some tarot and see what else we have here. In the month of April, we have Three of Swords, we have Queen of Wands, we have the Seven of Pentacles, okay. And we have the Fool in the reverse. Okay. So, I feel like those that chose this part, there's a lot of things. I feel like there's a few things going on here. So for one, you may have been left behind or broken up with by this Queen of Wands energy. Could be a fire sign. Aries, Sagittarius, Leo. Doesn't have to be. We have strong Aries here. But again, doesn't have to be. But I do feel like this person broke your heart. This person was a heartbreaker. And you really loved this person. This person I'm hearing was the light of your world. Again, it could be male, could be female, right? We're not talking about gender, we're talking about energy. But I feel like this person really stood out to you, and you never really got tired of this individual. But somehow, this person broke your heart. And you had to move on. Maybe you watched this person move on. Or if you just weren't in communication with this person, you just had to kind of accept the fact that they just disappeared. But Seven of Pentacles, you re-examined where you were at, and I do feel like you took the practical approach and focused on what was going to build you up. And that was through knowledge, through traditional knowledge, education, and work. Okay, that's what I feel here. But it really hurt you to have to let this go. Let's see. Now, for another group of you, something I'm getting is these may be your students. For those that are especially in a teacher role or a teacher position, your students may be struggling. You know, it's like maybe when they enter your classroom or they just enter the building, they feel like they're having to ground their energy, and they're forced to kind of shift their state of mind and focus on what's on the syllabus or what's on the agenda, whatever. But I feel like outside of this, they have a lot of chaos going on. You know, they still may be young, you know, and they're making mistakes. The 3 swords and the Fool in reverse, especially. Maybe it's a student of yours that is heartbroken over a Queen of Wands, you know, or a fire sign, or somebody that was just very charismatic, somebody that was very attractive. It's interesting. Okay, so let's pull an oracle card for you guys. There's another possibility I'm feeling as well. Sorry, there's a card that fell. Let me just pick that up real quick without knocking everything over. Okay. So there's another possibility as well. And that's you may be this Queen of Wands. And you had to leave someone behind so that you could focus on your career, or that you could focus on your education. But you still wonder about this person from your past. I feel like if you are this Queen of Wands, the person that you were dealing with was very in and out. I feel like they didn't really know what they wanted, and they were very immature. And I feel like you just were kind of ready for something more serious. Or you just were really tired of their games. Okay. But I'm going to pull an oracle card for you, and we have number 41, and it's a well. And I'm going to read from the booklet. And again, this is for the month of April, okay? Let's see. This says, I have many symbolic meanings: wishes, resources, creativity, and healing. If you look intently into the depth of my darkness, you may see your true thoughts reflected and your secret wishes revealed. But your wishes will only be granted if you dig deep and work hard. The Well card is about looking deeper into an issue. You may think you know all the facts, but there may be more to the story you are not seeing. The image suggests hidden depths. The rope entering the well represents the importance of keeping one's center. At a deeper level, the well card could be a sign that you have hit rock bottom, and now the only way is up. If other nearby cards indicate that you've been facing difficulties, it is now time for healing. The well card also has to do with wishes, but it comes with a warning. Be careful what you wish for. Be prepared to work hard for what you want. This card also refers to a goal that is attainable, but that still requires more effort or the commitment of additional resources. Okay. All right, so I do feel like the theme we've been having, you're going to have a new beginning after going through something that really broke your heart. And it's going to take time for you to really move on, to really move past this. So just take it easy and be kind to yourself. Because I feel like this newborn baby energy, right? Stepping out into the world kind of for the first time. So I feel like with this feels very new to you. This feeling maybe is new to you, or maybe this environment is very new to you. And if you're more of a teacher, and these are your students, when we went over that scenario earlier, I do feel like if you've been frustrated with your students, or maybe you've been worried about your students, maybe they haven't been paying much attention, I do feel like, I'm seeing like the Ace of Cups here, so in my mind's eye, so I feel like you don't have to worry that spring will bring this new found focus. I feel like when spring comes out, it's going to lift the mood. So I would maybe encourage your students to kind of go out in the sun more as well, especially if they've just been cooped up studying for finals or midterms or whatever. Encourage them to, on their free time, go out, touch grass. So that's what I'm seeing for those that chose this card. And if this resonated, I hope you choose to hit the like button on your way out. Maybe subscribe to my channel or follow me on TikTok. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Have a great night.